It's been a while since I've written anything related to the Disney Corporation, and I'm sure you can understand why. A lot has been going on since my last post. I received a lot of questions and concerns from folks who read my first-hand account from Mowgli's Palace, a resort that was built and abandoned by Disney. I want to thank everyone who mirrored my post. It has been taken down from a few places, mostly corporate sites that are easily leaned on by a larger power. What weenies. However, for every new topic or disappearing blog post, it seemed 100,000 million more had popped up. Oh, it wasn't 100,000 million, it was 800,000 million 53. That's how numbers work. This is something to light the face. There's no turning back for them. Muriel! I've definitely been followed on Twitter for the first month or two. I chalked up to paranoia, everybody's coming to get me! Any casual glance or half smile in my direction set me off. I fell down again, just like my first story. The first one I was actually able to spot was a telephone worker milling around my apartment complex. In fact, he was actually in my room. What a pervert. He was a middle-aged, doughy, dressed just like you would expect, but something seemed off about it. Couldn't place it, but I knew this wasn't my imagination acting up. He was awkward and out of place and kind of dumb. Not someone who was doing his routine angle. I followed him around the corner, only to lose him there. When I turned back to go home, there he was, staring at me, about 10 feet behind me. Expressionless and cold. "Exploding?" he said. That was all he said. There was an accusing tone in his voice, although it just sounded like an idiot. Tell me, what blue-collar phone jockey does that? I guess that's that and the occasional Disney merchandise left somewhere for me to find. Little rubber Mickeys in the mailbox, Disney Adventures magazine that was on my bookshelf. They hide little Mickeys everywhere. 3 circles, 1 big, 2 small. So the famous mouse's head. Started keeping a rental list of Mickeys I found. Coffee cup rings on my coffee table. Coffee, 1 big, 2 small. Covered glass bottles left on the doorstep, viewed from the top down, all red. Graffiti on the wall on my way to work. A huge earth, small sun, and moon in the proper locations. They're everywhere. People have emailed me about this well. If you post anything I have to say, you're going to stay finding these son of a bananas outlines. I guarantee it! The best one by far, the one that actually made me laugh because of the horror of it all, was a drawing in chalk on the White House lawn. The outline seemed perfect match for, well, a murder victim. You're probably familiar with if you've read my past posts. Written in yellow paint, I'm sure, was a single word. Retract? But not in question marks, though. I just felt like saying it like that. The only good thing that has come out of all this is now I know I'm not the only one who's saying something that they shouldn't have. Not going to give the names, Billy, because, well, Jimison, if I have to tell you who I Samantha, you haven't been paying attention, Billy. Researcher goes to Disney parks whenever he can, all throughout his year. He's not going to have fun. Enjoying the rides. His fucking gascots. There's been a long tradition, apparently. People reporting strange Patreons through the site. Silent, motionless, people on their computer paying money for people. All wearing Disney-themed gas masks. Way back when, Disney would get tons of complaint about the oddly dressed folks following around the park. Folks who would then merge in the crowds and disappear, Mr. Hat. Later on, the gas mask caused other folks to try to conclusions and reports of possible terrorists and blah blah blah, nobody cares. All these reports most likely went straight to the trash! I know I can't find a son of such occasions reporting on the Billy media, blah 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 blah. Researcher goes to the park. I don't know who researcher is, I'm just gonna call him Jim. Talks to a few people. He tries not to draw any attention to himself. He'll just ask 3 or 4 families if you've seen his friend who is wearing a funny mask. He had yet to see a gascot for himself. However, on one occasion, a child pointed him towards Frontier Town. As he raced through the crowd, he heard a single voice cry out, "Mommy, I want a goofy air mask too!" A fellow all-call lifeguard worked in a Disney water park from 2001 to 2003. He stood at the top of a huge water slide to make sure none of the kids got too rowdy rough boys. He passed the kids through, one at a time, telling them over and over and over and over and over and over again to be over, keeping their arms up, and so on angle. Wednesday, as he tells it, this overweight kid goes down the tube and it doesn't come out the other end. He sent 2 or 3 kids after. The whole thing moved as they could. So naturally you expect that they got stuck, the kids following were stuck too. Not so. Only the big kid disappears. Everything else comes out the other end, cheering and splashing like nothing's wrong. Lifeguard shuts down the slide, much to the aggravation of the kids waiting. Before he could do any of Disney's strict procedures, splash! Overweighty finally comes out. Staff members pulled the kid out of the water. He sank like a stone where he hit. His skin already blue and his eyes wide. All he would say is, "No face kids," and stop squeezing. What? The kid was okay, in case you're wondering. Except for the choking thing. He got carted off right to the medical center. When Lifeguard was told to open the slide back up, he made a big stink about how clean he wasn't safe and he had a boo-boo. Despite his complaints, he died. From that point on, he kept a closer eye on the kids. Wait, he wasn't dead. Every so often, they come out in the wrong order. Never as stunned as the overweight kid. He always looked with a vague look of concern, a dreamy half stupor that seemed they were trying to figure out what was reality. They'd take on some water and choke a bit, Cletus, and they'd never come back to try again. I read his email. What sense sort of unease you might be feeling right now? Although it's kind of impossible seeing as the way I'm reading this. Huh? I want him to say I'm sure, but in the end it didn't want to both themselves that way. Can't say it, blame him. Snow White, which was an actual role she played, was a character in the park. Wait, that wasn't a quote, silly me. She had a nice little butt for me. You know what happens when a costume employee drops dead in the suit? Like 1 second he's taking a picture with little Jimmy, and next he has a fatal stroke. A bunch of people laughing, that's what happens. A second costume mascot in the air has to sit with the chorus on a club or a bench and wait for a designated dry cleaner, quote-unquote. Sorry, I had to swallow something, because I cannot talk this long for 7 minutes on end and not drink something. Okay, to arrive and cart the body into a discreet manner. All the while, the Patreons who are voting for Pie Guy Rules having his next SpongeBob of season overview thing have no idea they're sitting with a dead body for photo ops, except for those kids from that Stephen King movie. Feel free to check your photo albums at this point, but then you'll realize they're gone! That wasn't bad, but another fellow janitor went completely off the creepy charts. Disney World, and probably others, like Disneyland and Universal Studios, is built with a series of underground tunnels just below your feet. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like just 3 stories worth. Anything and everything you can imagine down there for the use of the employees. They're called Yonky Doors! Yonky Corridors! Basically, that's the reason. See characters out of place like janitors walking through the park. I saw one once, but that was before I saw a giant Mickey Mouse thing. They popped in and out of hidden doors that travel a concealed town you're walking on. Janitors told me something that might be called noise, but it was nonetheless news to me. Walt Disney had several apartments built into his parks. There was one above Cinderella Castle, there was one into Pirates of the Caribbean ride. They're all over the place. Yeah, I don't know how that works either. Walt Disney put something in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, but apparently he did, so why am I complaining? He means the big D himself. More than that, there are nightclubs, a movie theater, a bowling alley, some naked chick that just sits on a chair for no apparent reason, and much more. The chick ended up dying in 1812. All behind doors built right into the whimsical fat kids you pass by without a second look. I am so happy! Club 22 was one such hidden area. If you have the cash to join the exclusive club, you don't. Then you'll have access to it and much more. Club 22 is a place where everything goes. Disney Co. calls these places dark zones. Spots where the squeaky clean Mickey Mouse giving way to drinking, drugs, and yes, something I shall not say on this YouTube video. Conversely, the rest of the park is in the bright zone, with a few gray zone you'll tours before, but between angle. As far as the janitor hasn't said,